Welcome to a special edition of the Bleav in Steelers show. I'm your host, Mark Bergin. Very excited to be joined today by Dr. David Chao. He is known as Pro Football Doctor on all social media, and he's here to tell us about some injuries before this weekend's wild card matchup between the Steelers and the Bills. Dr. Chao, good morning, and welcome to the Bleav in Steelers show.
Thanks for having me on. I'm between surgeries here, so sorry about the hat and the hair and the whole deal. Between cases here.
Wow. So we've got you in the flesh, in the moment, and want to be respectful of your time, so we'll get right to it. TJ Watt ruled out against the Bills, the star Steelers edge rusher. The question I have for you, David, is this. How soon could he be back for the Steelers? Because we know he'll be out against the Bills. If the Steelers advance, they'd play the Ravens in the divisional round. But grade 2 MCL sprain, you have a lot more expertise than most people do in this matter.
Well, look, for those of you and your followers and viewers that don't know, we talk about this on the Bleav podcast, Sports Injury Central, all the time, weekly, where we run through things. But I do video injury analysis. As a former NFL team physician, I used to look at guys on the field, on the sideline, in the locker room, and the next day after an MRI and examine them. And of course, there's no substitute for an exam to know what's happening. And we knew exactly what the diagnosis was. But I would have about half an hour to kill before meeting with the GM. So I'd go to the video room. Everyone in the building was looking at film. Look at film to just look at how it happened. And the coach's film, the TV copy. Now I just look at video, and the angles often are pretty good. And I don't know what the injury is, but by video, piece it together by mechanism. And in game, we said MCL sprain for TJ Watt. And unfortunately, in game at Sports Injury Central, SICscore.com, and at ProFootballDoc, we said he wasn't coming back. And in game, we put up an article saying that he's going to miss time in the playoffs if the Steelers make it. Ian Rappaport, awesome, love him, came out with initially saying a grade 3, which would be complete, later revised it to grade 2. Bottom line is it's an MCL sprain, and he's an edge rusher. How do you get around the edge if straight line? He's not a straight line guy. You got to get around the edge. And MCL is pretty important for that. So it's not a surprise that he's ruled out. And I think, unfortunately, Steelers fans know if you get ruled out on Monday for the weekend game, that already puts you under the gun for next week. Mm-hmm. And at this point in time, that's kind of where we're at. If it's a grade 2 MCL sprain, could TJ Watt do something this playoffs? Yes. When might he be TJ Watt again? It isn't going to be next week. If he plays, and I think that's a big if. Could he do something because he's such a great player for the conference championships? Maybe, but that's still not being TJ Watt. So, if you're waiting for your all-pro guy, you're waiting to Las Vegas. So it's a matter of how long can the Steelers stay alive here. They're going to have to stay alive without TJ Watt is the bottom line.
And let's pay the bills too here, David, as part of the Bleav family. I'm going to tie this in here. This game opened at 7.5. And now that TJ Watt is out, the Steelers are 10-point underdogs to the Bills. So if you have a hunch either way on this game, BetOnline.ag is the place to do it. Use our promo code Bleav, that's BLEAV, to receive your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. Bet online where the game starts. I want to continue this conversation.
And you make a great point. And you make a great point there. Look, I'm in California, so I don't bet. I follow the rules, even though a lot of people have offshore and this, that, the other. I don't do it. I stay within the rules. But look, we could have told you in game TJ Watt's not going to play. You could have had a 7.5 and 10 middle if that's what you wanted to do, just knowing that information. But so, fantasy people follow our site, and gamblers and fans, and to each his own in the different usages.
Yeah, and it was friendly fire with TJ Watt too. Montravius Adams colliding with him, and Watt in coverage trying to bat down a pass, which we know he's so good at doing. I also approach it from the standpoint of this team is not the same with him not on the field. They have a 1-10 record without TJ Watt on the field. They are 69-33-2 with him on the playing field. So he makes a world of difference for the Pittsburgh Steelers.
And one thing that's lucky, the very wet conditions in the grass might have saved a worse knee injury. And
why do you say that?
Well, why do you say that? The better the footing, the worse the force across the knee. A very simple analogy, since it's ski season. If you're a beginner skier, you have your bindings loose, so you pop out so your skis don't stick in the snow and you don't injure your knee. If you're an advanced skier, you crank them tight because you want to have all that footing and control. You don't want the skis popping off, but it increases the injury level to your knee. So having the wet ground during that game and the grass that has more gives might have saved a more significant injury for TJ Watt.
Terrific analysis there. There are two other injuries I want to get to from the Steelers standpoint. Kenny Pickett is back on the active roster. He'll serve as quarterback 2 behind Mason Rudolph, coming off tightrope ankle surgery. I've read about other quarterbacks who have had this same operation. It looks like Pickett had a similar recovery time to where he's now on the active roster. But can you tell us a little bit more about this operation that he had and now that he's back on the active roster after missing about a month of time?
Tightrope surgery gets a lot of play because it's a very catchy name. It doesn't speed up healing. And look, is Kenny Pickett ready to go now? Yes. Is he 100%? Maybe not, but he's ready to go. He's going to be the backup. You don't put a backup out there, as they say, one play away if he's not ready to go. And here, and this is not a criticism of Coach Tomlin. I'm a fan of Coach Tomlin, but there's some hiding behind health going on here. Oh, Kenny Pickett's coming off the tightrope. He's done really well. We'll have him as the backup. The translation is, we don't want to bench Kenny Pickett. He's still part of our future. We're not saying Mason Rudolph has beat him out, but Mason Rudolph got us to the playoffs. We got to ride the hot hand here. But, of course, we like Kenny Pickett, and it's convenient to use the ankle as if his ankle were 100%, he'd be the starter. We're just going with Mason Rudolph. So there's no demotion going on here. And coaches do it all the time, and I think it's very smart. But we call it either coach speak or hiding behind health. And here they're hiding behind the tightrope ankle surgery, saying, oh, no, it's another week. And remember, 3 weeks ago, we started hearing Kenny Pickett's close. Kenny Pickett's close. But Mason Rudolph has done a good job and held him off kind of situation. But Kenny Pickett is ready to go. And in the end, even if Kenny Pickett were 100%, do you play a Mason Rudolph who's been practicing and playing and his, quote, hot, or a Kenny Pickett that has not been practicing and playing and make the switch?
If you're asking the question, a lot of times you already know the answers. So that's where I'm at with that. And I also look at it from the standpoint, the draft capital you spent on Kenny Pickett as a first-round pick, and then Mitch Trubisky making $8 million this year. He's the 28th highest paid quarterback in the league this season. So I look at it from the draft capital, from a salary cap standpoint, and then, Rudolph as the third stringer hasn't been getting the same amount of reps. Little bit of savvy PR by Mike Tomlin in saying, hey, we're going to ride the hot hand in Mason Rudolph. 3 consecutive wins. It's hard to argue with the results. Dr. Chao, I wanted to leave you with this. Minkah Fitzpatrick working his way back from a knee injury. I've tried to read every single report I can. They've been a little bit vague on the extent of what specifically it is. The Steelers might have him for Sunday afternoon's game. We'll see. But any insight you can provide on getting Minkah Fitzpatrick back, coming off a season where he had 6 interceptions, does not have a takeaway this season, though, for Pittsburgh.
Look, the Steelers have done a great job this year, but they're still banged up. The Bills are getting healthier on defense. They've had issues earlier this season. They've righted the ship. The Steelers are injured here. Not only TJ Watt, right? Cole Holcomb's out. Your other safety is out. And then now Minkah Fitzpatrick. He's working his way back, but he's not logging a full practice yet. And if he does play, it will be because of his defensive quarterbacking, his mind, his superior talent. But I don't see him being 100% or full snaps, even if he can play. But some Minkah Fitzpatrick is certainly better than no Minkah Fitzpatrick.
Certainly there. Dr. Chao, if you have anything you need to plug, you are part of the Bleav family. Please take the opportunity to do so now. And certainly I appreciate your time this morning.
Thanks for having me. Twitter is at ProFootballDoc or SIC-Score, SIC Score, Sports Injury Central, SICScore.com. We actually have numerical grades on the Pittsburgh Steelers' health as a team, their offense, their defense, their run offense, their run defense, their pass offense, their pass defense, and matched up against the Bills. We do this every week throughout the season, besides fandom and certainly for gambling, DFS, fantasy. You can really look at matchups. We're really the only site that does injury analysis versus injury reporting. Like TJ Watt, there's a great value for injury reporting, but we do injury analysis, which means we can do it in game and otherwise in a unique way. And we have a panel of doctors, not just me, all with pro sports team experience. And that's kind of what I draw on my 17 years with the San Diego Chargers as the head team physician to be able to relay this. It's having worked in the field, like all the pundits and all the color commentators are all ex-NFL players. You're not putting high school or college players up there to call NFL games. And so as a former NFL team physician, I think I can see some of the different insights. And quite honestly, I studied it for 17 years. So we try and share that injury analysis with folks on game day and throughout the week.
Dr. Chao, you can find him on social media at ProFootballDoc. Thank you for the time this morning. Go ahead and sign up for the both of us. Thank you again. My name is Mark Bergin. This has been another edition of the Bleav in Steelers show.